Hi, I'm Anna Kaban and welcome to Contrology East Meets West, our April workout for you. Super excited about this one. We have some amazing international guests for you, and I'm going to pause for one moment because we also have a really exciting feature. This whole webinar is translated simultaneously to Korean. So if you'd like to hear this in Korean, go to the bottom of your screen. You'll see a globe that says interpreter. Click on that and select Korean. And Cho, would you just say that in Korean for me?
잘 들리시나요?
I think I heard something.
Let me introduce. Yeah. 네, 안녕하세요. 저는 한국에서 밸런스 바디를 대표하고 있는 조광현입니다. 네, 제이와 켄과 토요일 아침에 이렇게 만나 뵙게 돼서 너무 반갑고요. 기구와 관련돼서는 언제든지 네, 연락 주시면 되겠습니다.
Great, thank you. Okay, so then those that were listening to Korean, this should be simultaneous translation for you. How exciting. Thanks to our friend Sumi Chang. So today we have the esteemed presenters. Well, Sandy Shimoda will start this in Los Angeles as the teacher for the moment, as she teaches Wade Edwell, who is in Australia. And then we have Jihye Kim, who's in Korea. And then they'll chime in a little bit later, but we're going to start with Sandy kicking this off. Of course, as always, our fearless leader, Ken Endelmann, is here in California, clearly. And we also have Jay Grimes with us, legendary Pilates instructor Jay Grimes. And we have, as I said, Sumi Chang, who's our interpreter. And we also have Kyung-Hwan Cho, Mr. Cho, who is our distributor in Korea. So if you have questions about that, they can be referred to at the end. And I will tell you that there is a Q&A feature on your screen in case you haven't been here before. That's how we do the questions at the end of this whole session. So during the session, you can pop your questions in there, and then, or at the end, you can wait and put them in there, but feel free to drop them in and they will be fed to me towards the end so we can use them in our discussion, where all of these panelists will be back to answer your questions. So Sandy, I think we should just send everyone to Los Angeles to Vintage Pilates so you can teach a side-by-side reformer workout with two very different bodies, right?
Very different bodies. Okay, so let's invite Jihye and Wade onto the screen. And I think I'm going to disappear, right, Anna? And we're just going to get to see Wade and Jihye.
That's what we're going to do initially, and then we will put you back in towards the end when you guys show other exercises on the other equipment that's not the reformer.
Okay, so Jihye and Wade, why don't you go over to the reformers? And I'm really excited to present these two wonderful practitioners. Both Wade and Jihye have studied with Jay and continue to study with me, both of us as well. And they're just such great examples of how individual Pilates can look, and how they're also going to demonstrate to you how the Contrology equipment works with their particular bodies. So just so you know, Wade is about 6'3". He's 85 kilos, is that right? Is that what you said? Yeah. Jihye, yeah, a little, well, on a good day. And Jihye, she's about 5'3", and she's very slight. So let's have you guys get started, and I'm going to have them do this is a demonstration, so you guys can get started. Go ahead, you don't have to wait for me. It's a demonstration, so they're not actually going to be able to do an entire workout because otherwise we won't have enough time to get through the whole series. But Jihye, go ahead and start at your footwork. You're gonna do the workout, but you're just gonna do less repetitions of the workout side by side. So we can see them basically working on the same exercises, but they're doing it in their own rhythm. And what I mean by that is when you take a look at them, for example, you'll see that because of their size, because of their weight, because of their bodies, their rhythms are going to be unique. They're not trying to stay together. They're working in their own body's natural rhythm. So there's a consistent flow to what they're doing. Everything is connected and everything's natural. So they started off with their footwork and they're moving into the 100. So if you're working out with them at home, you can also do an abbreviated version of the reformer workout, and you can be going through it with us. So we did footwork, and now we're going into the 100. So when you watch Wade and Jihye, I want you to know that these two practitioners are people who work out 4 to 5 times per week and have been working on this workout, the reformer as Jay taught it to them, for about 10 years. So if you haven't been working out 4 to 5 times a week for 10 years, don't expect to look like Wade and Jihye, but you can step off your equipment at any time and take a look at their bodies moving through this workout. So after the 100, into the overhead, and Wade is moving into the coordination. So both of them are on 80-inch reformers. For those of you that are not used to putting people over 6 feet on an 80-inch reformer, look at Wade and you'll see, without changing gears, how he's able to use the 80-inch reformer to work with his body without eliminating or making changes to the workout. And Jihye is moving through at her own rhythm, coordination, and then she'll move into rowing. Good, now they're both on the rowing. So just take a look at even the dimensions of their body on the 80-inch reformer. And how it's just such a genius design that no matter what size, what height you might be at, the equipment has been so well designed and then recreated by Balanced Body that it works with the body that's on the equipment. You can see that Wade's feet actually extend beyond the frame of the reformer as he comes in, and he has to use a lot of control and reach to keep his feet from hitting the end of the reformer. That takes a lot of practice. And Jihye, for those women who have tried the Contrology equipment, for me, for example, the one spring on the Contrology does challenge me to connect more than other equipment that I've used. And look at what control Jihye has. He makes it look easy to work with that same amount of spring as Wade is using. They're both on one spring doing the rowing. And Jihye, who's probably half Wade's size, is doing a beautiful job of working with the equipment. Yeah. All right, so Wade's gonna go and do the swan here. And like Jay taught us, they used to put the straps on their feet when doing the swan. So even for a person who's as tall as Wade, he has been able to work with the equipment, with the straps, which give him extra support and encourage him to use his seat even more for stability in this exercise. Not everybody can do this, and particularly those that are very tall, but he's doing a beautiful job. Jihye, if you take a look at her feet, you'll see that she has decided to put her feet under the strap, but on the frame. Just depends on the body's shape and dimensions, what works best for them. Jay, did you want to add anything at this point to what you're seeing with Jihye and Wade?
No, I'm very impressed. I haven't seen Wade in a while, and he's looking good. Jihye I got to see a year ago, and she's looking even better. They've
It
both been
doesn't
working
stop.
hard. They've obviously both been working hard.
And if you're admiring Jihye's reformer color, that is a Contrology Reformer, and she did have that special ordered. That's a really beautiful color. I have never seen another one like it.
And you've never seen another Jihye, so that makes sense.
That's true. It suits her. Suits
It
her.
does suit her indeed.
There are some exercises that now I have Wade and Jihye. Actually, Wade is muted right now, but I did speak with Wade beforehand about there's some exercises where people who are tall or a little heavy have a difficult time bringing the carriage all the way in. But Wade has found that with work, he can bring the carriage all the way in on all of the exercises, right, Wade? Or was there one? Yeah, all of the exercises. The hamstring pulls were a little bit of a challenge, but we figured that one out. And I mean, I invite you to take that challenge because the equipment was designed to work with your body. So perhaps if you're having difficulty, you need to connect better. You need to work with the equipment in a slightly different way. It's definitely worth the discovery to give it a try and figure it out. Wade, I will say for sure, has had to do a lot of figuring out. And he's going to talk about it on his own, and you can discuss with him how that has helped his Pilates to really work with this equipment without changing it or even needing a larger frame or moving out the gears. Jihye, so beautiful. One of the things Jay always teaches us is to try to stay in one piece through the long stretch series and really move the carriage through the low body reach, keeping the arms just for balance. And Jihye does such a beautiful job of demonstrating that. It looks effortless, but I know it's not.
Jihye makes it all look easy because she works so correctly. She's using her whole body as one unit, which is as it should be.
Yes, this is the one, Wade, right, that we worked on to try to get you to move all the way back in. But you can see he's able to move the carriage out and in. Okay, so far they're basically doing the same workout. I do think that due to time, towards the end, we're going to have to choose some exercises for them, but I hope you are enjoying seeing both of them use their bodies in these exercises with such great connection and control. That's what it looks like. If any of you have been working on the Contrology, you'll know that there are some exercises that are particularly challenging. For women, for me, and my students who are women, the long back stretch can be a challenge. So I hope if you've missed Jihye doing the long back stretch just now, you can watch the recording. Go back and look at that. She is able to just reach with the low body so expertly. Okay, now here's a little thing that happens. If you saw Wade on the long stretch, and you'll see it again here, because of his height, he does come in front of the foot bar. Due to his body dimensions, he's going to come further over that foot bar than I am. Oh, look at Jihye. She's so fancy. But what I love about that is how well he stays connected to his back and stays long. All the way forward, look at that. He's way over the front of the foot bar, and that takes him into his back.
People are always afraid they're going to fall If you use your stomach and keep everything connected, you won't fall. I've never seen anyone fall in these exercises.
Good. And he's seen thousands. You know, when we were talking about getting ready for this demonstration, I said to Wade and Jihye, I'd be happy to give you guys some corrections so that people can see what it's like to get corrections and see them adjusted. But I'm not seeing anything I need to correct. Maybe we'll have a chance when you start doing some of the special exercises on your bodies. And when I say that, it's not to say that there's perfection. There's always something that can be achieved, but is my correction going to serve their workout, stopping them, giving them changes in instruction, or are they going to benefit more from just moving and finding it on their own? For these two, I feel like I want to let them move. I'm also curious to see what Jihye is going to do next. Are you doing splits?
Okay.
You do what you want. I mean, I may ask you to go back and do something if people have requests, because if you guys want to see any exercises on the reformer that you don't normally see, now is your time to ask. These two would be wonderful to watch. The only thing I want to say to Wade is I'd love to see you do swakate for sure. We don't often get to see men doing swakate on the reformer, and you do a great job of that.
Sandy, there's a request for the grand splits.
Oh, the grands. Why did you take that, everybody? Why? Okay, we'll put it in the suggestion box. I'm looking at Jay. Can we all be seen? Are we all on camera? No. Okay. All right. I also want to ask Jay too. Okay, because Jay knows these bodies, and I also want to give him a chance to speak. I would like to see Jihye do some snake twists. For sure. Jay, do you have any requests from these two?
Not yet.
Okay. All right.
They have.
That's all right. You'll probably see something. In a normal situation, they would go through their reformer and we would take a look at what's going on in their body, what we think that body needs, and then we would take them to the other equipment around the room. So it's really important, you know, like Jay's saying, not yet. He's observing their bodies. There's so much right. Sometimes it would just be selecting an exercise to challenge them after this. Or maybe he's seeing something in their body functionally that he might want to address. Or maybe we're just going to have fun. So let's see what happens. I encourage you, if you are going to ask for exercises, ask for things that you do on the reformer that you might learn something from seeing Wade or Jihye doing. Not necessarily the things you don't do or can't do, but the things you are doing already. Such a great opportunity for that.
Sandy, someone did mention tendon stretch.
Tendon stretch, okay, good. We got to see Wade. Maybe we'll get Jihye to go back too.
That would be good to see them both do it simultaneously.
Okay.
Because of the bodies are.
Tendon stretch.
Well, Jihye,
Not now.
let's see how you know, what's funny is that we're trying to stay within a time period. Go ahead and do your short box, Jihye, and then we'll have you both do the tendon stretch together. Maybe we'll take you together and separately to show a few. Again, I just want to repeat, this is not like a real class. You would do their complete workout here. It's just for demonstration purposes that we're doing a truncated version so that you can see more of the exercises on the equipment and with these people.
Sandy, would you again mention how tall Wade is? And Sumi, would you please translate that to Korean?
Oh yes, so he's just over 6'3". I don't know what that is in metrics. Just over 6'3". That's pretty tall. It doesn't look like he's that tall when he works out because he makes it all work so well. All right, tall man doing the headstands. So I think Jihye went back, right? Because she finished a little bit early. We're just, you know, we didn't coordinate this, and we wanted it to be very organic. And so we just told each other we would try to stay in a time limit. And I think Jihye was trying to stay within that time limit, but it's okay that you went back just for the demo. And now you get to see the swakate. What do you think, Jay?
It's looking good.
That sure is a long pull.
But it's coming from the right place.
Yeah, amazing.
Now let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's do. He's been working on it. You can do this. I have faith.
Squeeze your butt. Make
did you
everything
hear that?
work.
He said to squeeze your butt.
Everything has to work. It's so hard.
It's so hard. Does he get extra credit for long arms? You can pay me later, Wade.
We all have our tribulations and trials.
Jihye, right after Wade is done with his swakate, why don't we take you guys into your tendon stretch? Does that sound okay, Jay?
Yeah.
Yep.
I know
That's
we're
fine.
stopping in the middle of it, but I think you're warmed up.
The 6'3" equates to 1.9 meters or 1.9 meters. Sumi, if you want to translate that, 6'3" inches is 1.9 meters.
Did anybody have any questions for Jihye while she's waiting to set up for the tendon stretch? How do you do it, for example? How are you doing that? It's amazing. Okay, all right, so let's set up for the tendon stretch. Shall we do the whole sequence, Jay?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 2 feet, side, back, and then the side back combo, and then the other side.
And Wade, make sure you keep your butt on the inside of the bar. Stick it out a little bit before.
And
Just a
Jihye's
little.
off. Right, she's trying not to bang, yet she's trying to pull the carriage all the way in. And both of them are trying to keep their hips in front of the foot bar for the whole exercise, which is really difficult. Yes.
That's how you get your tendon stretch.
That's how you get your tendon stretch, right?
Stick your behind out, you're not getting anything.
Oh, Wade is.
Well, he's taller than you. He takes longer. I think he was dying there. You both worked so hard at that. Jay, did you want to say anything else about their tendon stretch?
It's good. It was better that time, Wade. The next challenge is to keep your toes down the entire time.
Okay, there's always another challenge, isn't there, with Jay around?
There's always more. There's always more. That's why Pilates is so wonderful.
Yeah. Just for time, Wade, I think that we're going to have to stop. And Jay, did you think of anything that you wanted to see on them, on the reformer, before we move into their individual sections?
Well, it's really not up to me. I mean,
okay.
I don't know if there are any
or
requests.
Wade or Jihye, was there anything else you wanted to do?
I think enough.
You feel like you've done enough?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to ignore the request about the big splits, but I'm going to decide that I would like to see you do the Russian splits instead, both of you doing the Russian splits. I actually have gone over the big split with Wade as well, and because of his height, he doesn't get much out of it. He doesn't move very far. So I do want them to benefit from this exercise, and the Russian split has some similar elements. So let's have them both do the Russian split. Right, so the emphasis, or what you always want to be considering, is that back leg reaching into the foot bar to get that back leg stretch. Even here you can see Wade can't really extend all the way, but he does get more here, he feels, than when he's doing the grand écart. Jihye, could you lower your hips even more so you get more stretch in the front hip? Yeah, and she's totally capable of that as well. She's strong enough and she knows how to balance, and that's just going to challenge her a little bit more. Wade, make sure your hips are square when you go for the big split. A lot of times it feels like your hips are square, but when you look at them, you realize, oh, no, they're not. So just take that little moment to make sure that your hips are square before you go into the big split at the end. Reach the back leg more, Wade. Yeah, there you go. I hope you can all see that. It's just going to give him more stability, more connection. Jihye, you can go lower again. I know you can. Yes, I can ask that of her. Yeah, good. All the way in. When you come in, you want to make sure you're lifting your stomach to draw the carriage all the way in rather than letting the springs do it for you. So really pull in and up all the way in. Okay, nice. You guys looked fantastic. Thank you for doing that. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I think it's time to move on. I know you want to hear from both of them. They both have great things that we can't possibly tell you everything we'd like to tell you, but both of them do want to share a little bit more about their workouts with you. So here you go. I hand it over.
Jihye.
Hi, Wade.
Hi, honey. Yeah, is there any questions? that you wanted me to answer for now, Anna?
You know, there was one question that came up, and it may seem like an obvious answer, but I think the question is being asked because maybe it's unclear. Why is the tendon stretch, or what is the point of the tendon stretch, or how are we stretching the tendon? I guess it's kind of, what is the point of the tendon stretch? Is what we were asked here.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that Jay will pipe in and correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, if you relate it back to the first tendon stretch that we do at the end of the footwork, where we've worked for that connection of the heels pressing down, but the stomach pulling up and back. And so it's just a continuation of that for me. By the time you get to that point, it's much more dynamic. Jihye, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the tendon stretch is the same to elephant, but it's more narrower. So we try to the whole center to top to the heel. So it's same, you know, same logic. Every exercise is same logic, but it's harder.
Yes. Great. So did you, Anna, sorry, was there any other questions?
No, or? There were, let's see. Wade, in high frog, did you gear out?
No. There's only one exercise in the entire reformer that I gear out for, which is the control push-up, just the same as everybody else. Mm-hmm. So whether it's something like short box or the long stretch series, which are really common places that people have been taught to gear out for a tall person. None of those, just the same as everybody else. So just the control push-up, the first one.
No, but I think we should also mention you're quite strong. So many people aren't going to start there, but that's the goal.
Well, what I could say to that is it's going to come down to what you believe in and what you're willing to do with your clients. But what I can say is that I have many tall clients here. They all start the same as clients everywhere else in the world. There's not really a difference. And I never make that exception with anybody. What you might find is that, for example, in something like the long stretch series, when you set someone up in that who is tall and you keep their gear in, you just might find that they can't, when they're starting off, they just can't come as far forward over the bar. But if you always have the gear out, it's a crutch. They never get the opportunity to actually take themselves forward. Right. So one of the great things that's come from Jay and from Sandy is to not institute a crutch that you're then going to have to remove later. If you can teach them to feel safe where they are, maybe keep their range of motion a little bit smaller, over time they can start to explore it as they build strength in the connections that are necessary to achieve that. So that's our philosophy, and that's how we practice with it.
That's great. No, I remember long stretch being very frightening when I first did it because I'm a little tall and I thought I was going to flip over the foot bar. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, and there's a million ways that you can work on that kind of thing in the studio and other places. On the back of the ladder barrel, they can do their leg pull work on the mat. If it's an issue with their wrists, we've got heaps of tools that we can use to try and strengthen that. Maybe it's just that long stretch isn't right for them at the very beginning. And it's something that they just need to do in a couple of sessions once you've worked on some other things first.
Thank you.
Maybe
I do have a
20
question.
sessions.
Go ahead, Jay.
Sorry?
Maybe after 20 sessions.
Maybe after 20 sessions. That's right. Well, they should be doing the whole reformer by then, shouldn't they, Jay?
After 20 sessions. No, but you're so right in what you're saying, and basically it all boils down to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because if you stay in your comfort zone, nothing is going to change ever.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So get over yourself.
It just takes work. It just takes work.
It takes work and it takes time.
Yeah.
Jihye, there's a question. I'm not sure. I'll read what it says, but I'm not quite clear on it. It said, when Jihye was on the short box, I noticed what seemed like an extra movement at the top of the flat back. Tell me about that, please. So
top of the flat back, I have the extra movement.
That's what I understand.
extra movement. I don't have extra movement, but seems like extra because I'm working hard. So there no have extra movement.
I think I can jump in there because I was watching her. It's not an extra movement, but when you start the tall back or you start the short box exercises, you lengthen the back first and you do, let's say, tall back. You come all the way back up as tall as you can, and then you can have a moment's rest, and then you start again. So that was basically just between each repetition, her giving herself a little break so she could reach again, because it's so much effort just to maintain that reach throughout the exercise. So I think that might be what you were seeing.
Thank you. I have another question for Jihye. It seems that Pilates has exploded in South Korea, which is awesome. I very much hope South Korea would be the center for classical Pilates in Asia. This person would like to hear from Jihye to see if she has thought about setting up programs for students in neighboring countries.
The question is especially Korea. What? One more time, please.
Yeah. It just said that, it seems like Pilates is very big in South Korea. And this person says they hope that South Korea would be the center for classical Pilates in Asia, and they would love to see your thoughts about setting up I'm guessing a training program from students from neighboring countries, nearby countries.
Yeah, in Korea, a lot of good teacher in here, the Rich J, me and Nanyang and Busan in Gyeonghae, they have their own individual training course. But basically it's just trying to share the Pilates how good with this. So it's same to the real client too. Just we need the experience how good with this. It's the same setting to host too.
That's great. So Sandy, I'm going to toss this back to you in that, do you want to show some of the other exercises or invite Jihye and Wade to show things that would supplement what they've done in the Reformer?
Yes, let's start with Wade. Wade wanted to share with you, he got the Ped-o-Pul and the armchair from Contrology. And as much as he would like to show you all of it, he has selected a few exercises that he really loves on the new Ped-o-Pul. And so Wade, could you just take us through those, please?
Absolutely. I just need to shift this around. Just let me know that you guys can see the pole. How's that, Anna? Can you get a look at that?
Looks good. The top of the pole's cut off. So if you want to back it up.
Okay.
Move it up.
There you go.
How's that? Great. Well, that's actually a really good point to make, because for those of you that haven't encountered this yet, it's a lot taller than the poles that we've been used to over the past few years. And for someone of my height, I'm really excited by it. The other thing that I love is that the connection at the top is narrower. So it's actually almost brings the spring directly above the shoulder or the shoulder blade. And for me, it allows me to get a lot more work in the top of my arms range. On the poles that I've been using prior to this, I would have to bring my arms down a lot lower to actually find any connection. And so I really wouldn't get anything up here. So as a taller person, I really benefit from that. And for anyone who's shorter than me, of course, you're going to absolutely benefit from it too. It's got the beautiful sculpted handles that we also have on the baby chair, which I really enjoy because it's slightly larger in the middle, so it encourages you to wrap your hand properly around the actual piece of apparatus. So if you have a Ped-o-Pul and you're in your studio right now and you want to do this with me, go ahead. We're just going to do a couple of things. The first thing is to set yourself up, bring your heels right back against the pole if you can. That's ideal. And most of us should be able to do that. And then soften your knees until you find a point where your hips can reach down and you can pull your center back against the pole. Someone like me who has a slight kyphosis, it's really tricky for me to get the upper part of my back against the pole without taking my ribs forward. So this is a really good place to try and find length through the upper part of my spine without disconnecting my center to do it. So the first thing that we'll try for is just a simple roll forwards. Start at the top of your spring, draw your shoulders back around the pole, pull your center back into the pole. And then as you start to pull down on the spring, keep your shoulders open and lift the back of the rib cage up the pole, keeping the lower back on the pole, keeping the hips on the pole, and try to round over and forwards. Now it's easy to pull with your arms to do this. Make sure that what you're trying for is to move from your center. Let your center actually pull you off the pole. A taller person might reach more forwards. And then resist the spring, not with your chest, but from your back, and pull yourself up the pole. Now it's right about here where I feel my ribs want to come forwards to get my head and shoulders back. So I've got to work extra hard to try and keep that connection against the pole, bring my chest up as much as possible, and then lift my arms. Now that was a little slow because I was teaching. So if you're with me doing this, we'll try it 2 more times, just a little bit faster. Connect the shoulders, use your center to lift you off the pole, pull you forward, and then reverse. Pull your center back against the pole, open the chest, reach out into the springs without bringing your arms off your back, and lift up 1 more time and draw down. No work in the neck. Keep it in the center of the body, and then reverse and come back up. All right, now from there, take your arms wide. This one we are going to start down in line with our shoulders. So I want you to feel where your shoulders are around the pole, pull down through the middle of your back, start here, and let's butterfly, soft knees. Stretch around the pole. Let your rib cage actually move your arms, pull the back arm down behind you and pump 3, 2, 1. Reach out, cross your chest into both arms, square yourself off, ribs back against the pole and chest open. Let's go towards the other side. Round through your spine, twisting around the pole, pump the back arm 3 times as you keep reaching out into the front arm, and then bring yourself back around. Now, ideally here, all the twist is going to happen through the center of the trunk. So the goal is to not bring the pelvis with you. You have to keep the pelvis glued on top of the legs, reach down into the floor, 3, 2, 1. Pull back through your center. Your shoulders follow the movement of your center back against the pole. 1 more time towards the other side. Open across the chest. Try not to round if you're like me. Reach out into your arms and come back against the pole. Now, the last exercise that I thought we'd do here today is the boxing. I'd never seen this before until I started working with Jay and Sandy. It's actually very difficult to achieve, especially if you're a bigger person and you try to power too much. There's a couple of different kinds of boxing around the studio. In this one, we are going to keep our shoulders open. They're not going to come away from the pole. So pull your arms down, pull your shoulders back around the pole, pull your center into it. Make sure you can feel yourself standing in the ground, and then just press out. Now, the idea is that you reach up and away. Don't bring your shoulder around off the pole. Keep yourself connected back into it. And you don't want the spring to bounce too much. Yeah, if it does, you're shooting too much power out and away, and you're not pulling back through your center. 10, 9, 8. The hips should be as stationary as you can possibly make them. And for every time you punch forwards, you have to pull your center back. Good. All right, so that's enough on the pole. If you guys have any questions, just hold them onto them for later. I'm going to put this away.
Wade, actually,
Yeah.
People wanted to see the profile of those exercises. Could you turn and show quickly profile of those exercises?
Definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely. How does that look?
Good.
That looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. So I'm just going to move through them this time instead of actually talking them out. And if you're with me at home, you can just follow along. Starting with the round. Into the butterfly. And then finally the boxing. Good.
Wonderful.
All right.
Anna, are there any questions on the Ped-o-Pul before we move to Jihye?
No, I don't see any.
Okay, wonderful. So Jihye, will you tell us a little bit about, she has the Reformer right now, and she just wanted to share what she's experienced using the Contrology Reformer as compared to what she's had in the past. Jihye, will you tell us about it?
Yeah, I feel the Contrology Reformer guided to my body how to use from the center. The J always told us the last inch very important all the time. At the time, I understood in my head, but my body can't understand. Now I understand on my body with Contrology. So I think, oh, Jay mean this. He knew everything already. Like, so Contrology feels like the great partner for me. You know, the great partner also time to know each other. So we need time to become aware of how good each other. So I can't say everything is perfect with this right away, or you guys can feel whole center right away with this, but definitely I can say this is best for Pilates, what I feel, and for my body. And I'm still getting close to this. So as time goes by, I fall in love with this more and more. So the Contrology and Pilates make me keep looking forward to it. So that part is best attraction about the Contrology and Pilates. We waiting more and more and more and more. So that's what I feel.
So actually, there's a question for Jay and Ken. What do you two think about Jihye's comments about the Contrology Reformer?
Well, I think it's great, and she's right. You have to develop a relationship with whichever piece of equipment you're working on. You need to develop a relationship with it so that it supports you and challenges you, depending on what you're doing. And that's when things really, really happen. With this Reformer, I think it really guides you through a lot of the exercises. It gives you such wonderful feedback that it kind of tells you when you're being bad. But it also is a real challenge when you get into some of the more difficult exercises. The way Joe laid this out, you start off lying down, you're completely supported. And as you progress through the exercises and his order, you get to a point where it's like the Reformer is just daring you to do the exercise. It's not only not supporting you anymore, it's really challenging you. And that's what's wonderful about Pilates, and that's when the body really changes. But you have to develop that relationship. I mean, it's your partner. And if you have a partner in dance, you know, you don't immediately work as a single unit, but as you work together, you become a unit, and that's what it is.
You know,
Jay,
I was
do you want to chime in?
thinking,
Oh, go ahead, Sandy.
oh, I'm sorry. I just
I didn't
wanted,
know if Ken
thought
wanted
of
to say
something.
anything.
I thought of something when I was talking to Jihye, and I asked her something about the Reformer, and you said something so wonderful, Jihye. You said something like, I have to work with the Reformer or else it becomes a dragon. And I want you to explain that a little bit. I understand what you mean by that, but could you explain that to the rest of the people that are joining? What you meant when you said, I have to listen to the Contrology Reformer or else it becomes a dragon.
Yeah. I told he, he always told my body, use your, center and drag in all the way in. So I'm trying to what he said every moment, but if I don't listen to him, the exercise turn like the monster for me because it's too heavy and the hard everything. But if I listen to what he wants, the use from this center or whatever, my body eventually feels good too. So feels like, they drag out my potential. It is, it is what it is.
Yeah, I can really relate to that. Also being slight in figure, that, if you try to muscle against the equipment, you will not win.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, I'm so sorry, Ken. Were you going to say something before
I was just
over?
I was really having a good time watching you guys use the equipment, and I have a slightly different take on it because I build the equipment and I'm really into tools and things, and the purpose of the tool is to kind of be like an extension of your body, and it really amplifies all the good and it amplifies all the bad at the same time, and it amplifies the feedback that you get, and when you get the body that's interacting with the machine in the right way, you just get a really beautiful result and you learn so much, and I'm seeing that when I'm watching you guys work. So I just want to add that little part to it.
Ken, I do have a question. It says, the Contrology Reformer recently changed its side wheel part. Is there a reason for that? Is that correct? And is there a reason for it?
Yeah, no, it is correct. And we changed it. What we're doing with Contrology, we always want it to work the same no matter what. So that's the most important part. And so, and we figured out a way where we could take the side wheel and we could, and what was happening is when people were doing maintenance on the wheels and lubricating them, they were really over tightening them. And so we kind of wanted to make that mechanism a little bit more bulletproof for the people that were like super strong. So so we did change the side wheel mechanism to make it harder to over tighten and make it a little bit easier to adjust.
Thank you. I do have a kind of exercise request. I know you guys have cooled off, but the question was, could Wade and Jihye perform the long spine on the Reformer? Wade giggles. They want to see that long side by side.
It's always such a lovely exercise to do when you're cold.
Right? Just like that. So Jihye, do you mind jumping up and showing long spine massage? Thanks.
Long spine.
Thank you. Beautifully done. Sandy, I'd like,
welcome.
yeah, you guys are so beautiful. Sandy, I'd like to ask you to, show off our Contrology Cadillac there. We'll come back to some questions, but I know that you wanted to do some things there and I don't want to forget that.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that I get to show you the Contrology Cadillac. If you haven't seen it before, I want to encourage you, first of all, to go back and watch the recordings of the events that Balanced Body has done with Jay, with Ken, with a lot of the practitioners that have worked with Jay, because all of the things are cumulative. You can learn over time. And I don't want to go back and show you anything that you've already seen. So I've already peeked at all of the recordings. For sure, what I want to touch on this time is a little bit about the springs and a little bit about the neck stretcher. It's always so hard to choose because there's so many important things about it. And in case you haven't seen the toolbox, this is where I keep all of my little toys. So in this toolbox, I'm going to take out, I wanted to just show you that when you get your Cadillac, you're going to get your standard set of leg springs and arm springs. And please also be sure to notice the labeling and the way that they have the rollback springs. They are uniquely different, each one of them. The rollback springs and the arm springs actually look similar, which is not how it is on other equipment. But since Ken and his team used springs that were from Jay, that he got from Clara, you're getting these original arm springs and they look similar. I don't know if you can zoom in on that. Can you? I'll walk in closer just in case. So they look similar in size to one another, whereas the other arm springs we're used to working with are longer and have a bigger diameter. So, but the actual resistance between the rollback bar and the arm springs is different. So if you decide to get the J pack, which when you look back on the recordings, no one did, those are the actual springs that have been recreated through much effort by Ken. And those are the ones that Jay worked with in the studio. And so I have the J pack springs and they're in my toolbox, both the leg springs and the arm springs that the brilliant Karen Frischman helped work on with the spring resistance and Jay with his original springs. So I had a chance to be there as well when they were creating the Contrology line and the Cadillac. And the springs that they have on the standard work wonderfully for me. But I love to have the option of putting greater resistance on the springs for certain clients and also for something for me to build up to. I'm going to start with the neck stretcher. If we have time, I'll do the airplane board, but I don't know how we're doing for time. Not a lot of people have used the neck stretcher. This is the neck stretcher. And just like on the Wonder-Chair and also on the Reformer, Joe designed a system where you could adapt the springs slightly without changing the exercises, but to adapt to the bodies. So we have the choice of the rollback springs, which are the lightest springs. We have the arm springs, and then the most resistance is on the leg springs. Even for a person my size, I can use any of those. It just feels a little different and I get at something slightly different with each one of them. So I am going to use the leg springs because I want to show you something very specific. So what you do is, these are just very basic neck stretcher exercises that most people can do and benefit from. So you take the two leg springs and you just attach that one hook on the top from the neck stretcher. And you want to distance yourself enough that the springs are almost taut, but not taut. And then you also have to prepare to mess up your hairdo. So you put this strap onto your head The strap feels different to me than what I'm used to. It has a little bit more, it's thicker, and it's a little bit wider, so it'll fit a variety of heads. I actually have a large one, so it's good for me. And you want to start off really tall, reaching through the heels, lifting up through the spine. And I want to use this neck stretcher to create more length through my back. So that extra resistance on the leg springs is just making me work harder in my hips, in my stomach, in my back. And the goal is to create length. So you don't have to go all the way down, especially if that's going to shorten you. I can really feel my rowing. I can really feel my tall back on the short box here. And this connects the job of the upper back and the neck into those exercises. It's very informative. So now we can turn around and go the other direction. Same thing. You want to have basically a little bit, you want it to be quite almost taut, but not taut. Sit up nice and tall. This is like the spine stretch forward. My hands are on the strap to keep it from slipping. That's the only safety that you have to make sure of, is you wouldn't want the springs or the strap to slide off the head. But at the same time, it helps me connect to my back. And what I'm doing is I'm using the springs against this part, very much like what Wade was doing on the Ped-o-Pul. I'm lifting up and over and reaching through the legs. One more time. Oh. Just like that. For somebody like me, I hope you can hear me. I'm seeing Anna talking, but I can't hear her. I hope you can hear me. Okay. Somebody like me who had some neck and shoulder issues, actually having a little bit of resistance from the spring feels great on my neck. It's just like when you resist to release muscles, you allow them to work a little bit, and then it helps them to release more. I feel that in my neck and shoulders. As long as I'm not trying to push those springs with my neck and I put it into my center, it just pulls your body together and then provides these extra benefits, release of tension. Really, really simple. What do you think, guys? Do we have time to talk about airplane board?
I think you can show the airplane board, and I wonder if you have the armchair, because I'm seeing questions about it.
Oh, do you want to do armchair? Oh, I wasn't planning
Yeah.
on doing it, but I have it.
Just pull it out for those that haven't seen it, maybe.
Sure.
And show the unique feature of how you can adjust it to 2 different positions. Maybe speak to that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes, I'm so lucky that I have everything.
Mhm.
So I have the armchair, the Ped-o-Pul, I have the mat, and maybe something secret that I can't say. Maybe. So here's the armchair. And David, do you think you can, it's just gone off now, the screen. There we go. If you can just angle it down. So what we want to show about this chair that's so unique, you might recognize this setup. This is the standard setting that most classical armchairs come at these days. But wait, this is not, this is an imposter. OMG. Oh my God, I need this one, David. Do you think you could help me? I need to get Vanna White. We weren't prepared to bring the armchair out, so I hid it by the camera. Okay, here we go. Jeez. Oh my God. That was a blooper. Anyway, that's the one that stays like that. So you have that one option. The balanced body, based on what Jay remembers of the armchair, allows you to take out the extra board that was at some point added so that you have this second angle to work with on the armchair. Yeah, all right. So I bet some of you are wondering what that's for. And I do really want to give it the time that it deserves. So I would again recommend that you go back and watch the past recordings of the work on the armchair, because we do talk about that quite a bit. But I also wanted to show you, just like Wade was talking about, it has those same handles with the leather that sometimes people will talk about. The hard handles they hurt their hands, which does have something to do with what's going on in your bones. But anyway, you get the leather handle and you also get that nice dowel that you can fit your hand around very easily. And the last feature that I want to point to is this padding, which we could just go on ad nauseum about, because giving you the feedback that you need whenever you're on any of the equipment completely changes the way you connect to your body and use the equipment. So this high density foam that is also very thin gives you a great amount of feedback when you're working. And that is the same foam that's on the Cadillac as well as on the Reformer that you saw today. So you'll see that, you know, the brilliant work, the great springs, the nice padding, all of the effort that Balanced Body has put into creating equipment that Jay, thank you, Jay, has had a chance to feel and give feedback about, is helping us to do better Pilates. So I can really feel my back here, working into that nice dense padding. I can keep my wrist long, and I can use the handles to help me work the springs to lengthen and strengthen my body as I move. And you can see what that deeper angle does to help me connect to my center. I can also work it, as hard as it is, me holding the chair and letting it move as the spring goes back. It's just a greater challenge to my control. So it's not necessarily always easier. A lot of times it's just a greater challenge. More options for good work and for different types of bodies. Anything else, Anna? Questions or?
There was a question to see two people on the chair side by side, but that won't be possible today, correct?
We don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
we could see. Wade, you didn't get your chair, did you?
I don't think.
Oh, you know, he does. Wade has a chair.
Does he? Okay. Yeah, I guess they had a question about the neck. Let's see.
Do you want to?
Contrology armchair has two settings for sitting. With the deep angle, it is hard to find client's neck position. Could you show us with two different bodies?
Oh, okay. Wade, will you also pull out your armchair, please?
Yeah.
So the simple answer is you put your head where it feels natural. But because our dimensions are so different, it is going to look a little different on our bodies. But I was in a natural position with my head forward. I'm not back along the chair. I'm just lifting my head over my shoulders and getting into my center. It's, you know, like the 100, where you lift your head a little bit in order to get into the center of your body. It's a similar idea, right? You're being challenged against gravity. So you want to do rowing 3, Wade?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I'm really focusing on my back and not so much my head position, except that I want it to contribute to having a strong center and a tall back. We look so different.
Oh, he's tall and long. I mean, I would say that Wade is more reclined as far as where the neck and head are compared to you, but I think it's a lot to do with the length of his torso from what I'm seeing. Jay, do you want to chime in?
I think Wade's neck grew 2 inches just in those few repetitions.
That's good.
Which is great. I mean, that's part of what it's about, because he was really, each time he got deeper and deeper into his back, and he was just keeping this out of it. And the neck just got longer and longer and longer. It was great.
Yeah, there's something really wonderful about having this extra recline, particularly as a tall person. The chairs that we're used to using, I would find that I found it, particularly for the seated stuff I'm talking about here, I found it very difficult to actually feel my center working because of the angle at my hip being so short. It was just very grippy. Yeah, I was too compacted. It was very grippy. So the wonderful thing about this extra space, and we had a chair that was similar to this at Vintage Pilates, and it was amazing for me every time I would get to work on it. Because one of the thing that it really allows me to do is actually to pull my center back more and keep my hips a little bit more released. And then when you start to do things like Sandy demonstrated just before, where you actually bring the back of the chair forward, for example, the next rowing exercise, it gives someone who's bigger a lot more range of motion, a lot more scope to actually take their body through space, through the sequencing. So it's a fantastic piece of equipment, and it's really helped me to feel what the chair was actually created for.
Great.
Sandy, is there anything else that you guys wanted to share or show before I ask a couple of questions more of everyone?
It's just like a can of worms, you know, you open one and it just can go forever. So at the risk of making it too long, no, just if anyone has any questions to ask, I have the Cadillac here, I have the chair here, I have the Ped-o-Pul and the mat as well. So if there's anything I can show you, I'd be happy to do that.
Well, Sandy, I guess I'm wondering, where did the neck stretcher go?
Oh, I put it back in the toolbox. Did you not see that?
Maybe we should just see how that works one more time.
Okay.
There was a question if all Cadillacs do this, and the answer is no. And I'll let Ken speak to that, but Sandy, first show us what goes on here.
Well, I did have the option about whether to get the toolbox or not, but I didn't even hesitate. I definitely love having the option to put all of my tools. And David, I wonder if you can come closer so they can see inside of the box, please. Thank you. I kind of threw everything in here after my demo, but you can get it a little lower. Yeah. So in here, I have my 2x4. I've got my airplane board. These are this is the neck stretcher and the foot straps that I just removed. These are my extra set of J pack springs and my Kunya board, as well as a pole if I need it. So that's all here without it being all over the floor like it usually is. And I just love having that feature. I love it being neat. I love knowing that everything is going to be here. And I actually find the mechanism very easy to use. It's attached by these handy dandy, they're arms. That's what I'm going to call it, Ken. I'm so sorry because I don't know.
Hydraulic though, correct? Ken, they're hydraulic.
So that when you close it, takes a little bit to get it going, but then it so smoothly just closes, and there's little notches here for your hands so that you don't pinch your fingers when it closes. I can keep my hands on here all the way down, and then when I want to open it, I slide my fingers in to lift up. Yeah, it's pretty cool. If anyone ever asks me, I always recommend.
I just saw a comment that said the same thing. Like, I love my toy box. Everyone should get that option, says Betty's son. Thank you, Betty.
I know. I think it's worth it. I really do. I think it makes it a little heavier. Is that true, Ken?
It
the
does.
whole piece of equipment. But it's worth it because you've got this whole extra box under here. And it is carrying all of the equipment.
I didn't choose that option. I want to change. I ordered already.
You forgot to ask me. Wade, I hope you got it. I know Wade ordered a Cadillac.
Can't remember. I hope so too.
Oh, I really hope you did. Jay, what do you
it's
think
a-
about? What do you think about it, Jay?
He's muted.
I'm sorry, Sandy, what were you asking me?
What do you think about the toy box?
Oh, I love it. I think it's absolutely amazing. I remember, now that was not my idea at all. That was something that Balanced Body sprung on me. Remember, I think you were there that day in Sacramento.
I was, yeah.
And they were all standing around and getting ready to show it to me. And it was so funny. I remember Jared was one of the engineers who doesn't do Pilates a lot. But he said every Pilates studio he'd been in, he saw all this junk under the Cadillac. And he figured, we got space, why not make a place for all the junk so that it's not sitting under the Cadillac? I thought it was the most brilliant thing. I love the idea of it, and it makes perfect sense. It's very practical. You don't lose things. You don't end up with one spring and wonder where the other one is.
Yeah.
You know what you've got there. It's all nice. Everything in its place for everything. I love it.
And he didn't change any of the dimensions of the Cadillac to do it. It doesn't change the function in any way. It's exactly the size of the base of what the frame would have been anyway. It's just extra.
Yeah, and that
So
Cadillac is built like
smart.
a tank.
And the Cadillac is what?
It's built like a tank.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's good too. So you can do
Yeah, it's
like
so
I
extraordinary.
can't do big hanging ones, but you are not going to have to worry about tipping this Cadillac. It's totally solid. A lot of times when people do the monkey on a stick off the end, they are worried. Can you follow me? They're worried that they're going to tip the Cadillac. There's just no hope. It's just
There's no way you're going to tip
totally
that Cadillac.
solid. Doesn't even feel
Wow.
like my weight is doing anything to this
Wow,
Cadillac.
no wiggle. There is no wiggle
No
at all.
It's like it's embedded in concrete.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's
Yeah,
so
to have that
solid.
security is really great. You feel free. You can go for it. You can roll. You can move your body. So it's really helpful.
Sandy, someone's asking how the mat is different. So the mat surface there in the Cadillac. Can you speak to the phone?
Shall I bring it?
Oh, sorry. I guess that's what they meant. The mat, the folding mat. Right. Yes, sure. Bring it in.
One moment, please.
Don't bring different mats, Sandy.
Well, don't bring the wrong mat. You have to watch me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jihye.
You're welcome.
Look, it's super slimline. Actually, I think it's even slimmer than that now. I have one of the earlier versions.
Wow.
Okay, one moment. I have to get the pulse.
Ken, there was someone that I lost the comment here, but it basically was saying they have everything. They're waiting on the mat to arrive. Thank you for making this amazing equipment, and what's coming next?
I don't know.
If we talk about what's coming next, do I get into trouble?
I don't, you're the boss.
And on the last Contrology Lab, they also introduced the Reformer Cadillac conversion. I don't have that, but Karen Frischman does.
Yeah. So the next thing will be the Reformer with the tower.
Reformer with the tower. Okay, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I called it a Cadillac. Okay.
And the ladder barrel will be the next thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're just kind of waiting right now. Like most manufacturers right now, there's lots of chaos all the time with our suppliers, and we're still kind of getting to the end of COVID, and just adding new things is not a way to keep things calm in the factory floor. So in order keep stress at a normal level, or just kind of delaying introducing that equipment until it's time. Yeah.
Yeah, also that great. Thank you for doing that too, because that means that it's more reliable shipping wise, and we can keep the times between ordering and receiving down to what you normally do. And that's really something nice to count on. So for the mat, I don't know if you watch me put these handles in, but I feel that they've done such a great job at figuring out how to make it tight enough that the handles are secure when I'm working out, but loose enough that I can slide it in very easily. I definitely have the mat that I have to practically get a hammer to just put the handles in. And then I have the other ones that are constantly moving around while I'm working out. So these ones, I know I gave some feedback on that as well and how important it was. And they did answer that along with other people that they asked. And I think they've come up with a great solution for the handles. The padding is just like this padding is just like the Reformer padding. So you got that nice high density foam, slimline, and all of that is for feedback. If you're arching your back, if you're rolling crooked, you're going to feel that on this mat, and you can correct yourself, which is what it's for. We have the nice strap here. We worked on the length of that so that it's not too long, not too short, and it can work for tall people as well as people. I'm 5'5". I like to call myself average, very average. And the dimension is just like, isn't it the same as the Cadillac, Jay? The length. So I can fit, as an average sized person, I can fit on this mat right in the middle, and I can still reach up to the handles, and I can still grab hold of that foot strap if I need it for things like the leg circles or the roll up. So here I can still use that foot strap to stabilize the standing leg, and I can still reach up into the handles to get my back reaching. And then my mat is telling me, hey, you're crooked, pull your ribbon right here, because I can feel that on the mat. Oof. Yeah. Don't let me keep going or I'll do a whole workout. So
there's one more thing that I really like about this, Sandy. When you fold it back in half, it magically stays closed.
Oh, I don't have that one.
Oh, you don't? Okay, well, Ken was smart enough to make magnets on the inside now. So when you close it, it magnetically seals together. But yes, you have an earlier version.
But can I just show you, because he was still thinking about that even from the very start. So what mine has that I will always treasure, so easy to close, is I actually have this handy dandy latch. It's like a high class piece of luggage. So it still stays closed. And it's not cumbersome when I want to move it around the studio. It's not opening and closing. So the magnets that he now has is going to do the same thing. It's just that I have the bling.
Perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that Shannon has answered questions to the group in the chat regarding what's coming after that. Someone said they were on the mat recently and loved it. I think that's pretty much a wrap, unless Ken and Jay have anything they'd like to add. Any last deep thoughts?
I actually don't have any deep thoughts. I just really want to thank Jay for all that he's done to help develop the Contrology line, and all of his insights and just helpfulness. It's just been just an absolute pleasure to work with you, Jay, and with you, Sandy, and with Karen, and then also, you know, want to thank Jihye and Wade for all their help today, and apparently David too, because
yeah, David, thank you, David. I have a camera here, computer there, another camera. Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
but
so
Ken, can I also thank you too? It's such a, you know, Jay knows this and tells this story often. I've been by his side for many, many years. And you know, he's all about the work, and he's always wanted to work with a company that would help him bring equipment that contributes to what he's trying to teach us.
Mhm.
And this equipment really does that. And apparently I have quite an opinion about that too, because I'm kind of a ball buster about it. But you really have come up with some really great equipment, and it's much appreciated.
Well,
Thank
well,
you.
thank you. It was tough, but it's totally worth it. Totally worth it.
And I have one question that I missed. I'm sorry. There was a question about the neck stretcher springs. Are they unique to Contrology? The springs on the neck stretcher, can you speak to them?
Yeah, I mean, the spring was specifically designed for the neck stretcher. So every single spring we're using is specially made, you know, and there's actually a story behind every spring. It's kind of fun. But yeah, nothing is off the shelf.
Exactly. I wanted to reintroduce Mr. Cho, who is our distributor in Korea, and let you chime in and say anything you'd like to say to the audience in Korean is fine. You just have to unmute yourself. We're so happy to have you here with us today and your continued support. Can you unmute yourself? We don't. I'm getting a thumbs up. Well, he's a great partner to work with. To Ken from Cho, oh, that's something else. Okay, so I wanted to tell those that are here today and or watching on the replay, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, make sure to share your photos on social media. And I've made it so easy for you to remember what the hashtag is. It's just hashtag Contrology Crew.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Don't
Contrology
forget.
Contrology Crew. And make sure it wasn't backwards too, right? You could read it forwards.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us. There'll be more events coming, of course. Want to thank our esteemed presenters from around the world, getting up early for us. We stayed a little late, we got up early. It's a nice collaboration. And you know, all the information on Contrology is available online at contrology.pilates.com. So thank you all. Have a fabulous weekend. I'm Monica Bond, the brand ambassador, and we're all here for you. Stay safe.
Thank you, Cho. Thank you, Sui.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
안녕히 계세요.
안녕하세요.
안녕히 가세요. 안녕히 가세요.